What is going on, everybody? I am back and ready to review the Asics Superblast 2. So without too much further ado, let's get right into it. So as always, we're going to start out with the outsole of the Superblast 2. This Superblast 2 has full coverage of Asics grip, which are the black pieces of rubber as you can see on the outsole. And they're in the similar formation to the Nova Blast 4. I'm not sure if they did that on purpose or not, but I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the performance on the traction as well as the durability. From a traction point of view, I did only run in this shoe in dry weather conditions. As I live in California, I wasn't able really to test these in the rain or running through puddles or whatnot because it's been pretty dry out here. Overall, the Asics grip performed phenomenally. As long as you're running on the road in dry weather conditions, I can give you the stamp of approval of the Asics Superblast 2 performing outstandingly. Just from a traction point of view. As for, maybe light trails, it should be okay. You might be slipping a little bit here and there, but for heavy trails, you're definitely going to want to pick up a different shoe, maybe a more trail oriented shoe, as I don't think this outsole is going to hold up very well on that, as well as give you great traction on those, I guess, sketchier trails. Touching quickly on durability, I'm not going to talk too much about durability as I've only put 25 miles on the shoe, but so far it seems to be holding up pretty well. I've heard in other reviews as well as in Superblast 1 reviews that their shoes have been lasting 600 to 700 miles. That is actually insane. I don't think I've personally ran in a shoe that has lasted that long. Maybe I am a bigger or heavier runner, so maybe the outsole wears out a little bit faster for me personally. But with 25 miles on this shoe, I guess it's in its very infant or baby stage of its life cycle. So I'm happy to report that there isn't too much wearing down on the rubber outsole, although I would be a little bit concerned if there was. There are still a decent amount of etchings on the shoe. I would say in the front middle part of the shoe of the forefoot, there is a little bit of wearing down, at least the etchings on the rubber. It's not too crazy. I would say that it looks like pretty normal wear and tear. So again, to repeat myself, Asics grip performed really well in dry weather conditions on the road. Durability seems to be holding up as well. I can't speak on the 600 to 700 mile life cycle of this shoe though. I would say, yeah, I'm gonna have to wait and find out for that. Now, the moment that we've all been waiting for, or I've been waiting for personally, as I have not run in the Superblast 1, is the midsole. So the midsole is what differentiates the Superblast lineup compared to the rest of the shoe market. We are now seeing a lot of competitors entering that market with, New Balance's Balos model, as well as, the new Brooks Glycerin Max. But this is kind of, I believe, the OG non-plated Super Trainer Daily Trainer shoe, the kind of do-it-all shoe, where they put a ton of racing foam, a ton of stack height of racing foam in a non-plated shoe. I know that was a lot of words, but how did it perform? So I would say that it surprised me a little bit, just because since I haven't ran in prior Superblast models or the first Superblast, I would say that I was expecting a very soft and bouncy experience, especially with that high stack height. And I don't want to say that the Superblast 2 disappointed me in that expectation, but it did feel a little bit more subtle and a little bit different than what I was expecting in the shoe. So as you can see, this shoe does have full length FF Turbo Plus, and the outsole or the white part of the midsole is actually FF Blast Plus. So it is a little bit of a firmer foam. You have a dual density type thing going on, but it is a very thin layer of FF Blast Plus on the bottom, and the majority of the midsole is FF Turbo Plus. I would say the sensation of this shoe is it's kind of adaptive. So when you're running a little bit slower, you're going to get a nice soft underfoot feel without being too mushy. It is a taller stack height than most models on the market, but it doesn't feel that way. I felt that the heel didn't feel super high off the ground. It's definitely more towards the max cushion side of things, but it didn't feel like I was walking on high heels or anything. As for the forefoot, it did have a nice little pop to it, especially when I was running at maybe marathon pace and slower. I did feel a little nice responsive feel underfoot, but it was a little bit more of a subtle feeling compared to some of the other models that I've tried out from other brands. Now, that's not to say that that's a bad thing, because I think that one thing the Superblast 2 really performs well in is the stability. So when you have such a high stack shoe, it's really important that the shoe isn't unstable, and a lot of bouncier and softer foams, especially at high stack heights, are going to feel a little bit more unstable than maybe the Superblast 2. The Superblast 2 is going to be a little bit more subtle, a little bit firmer, but still a little bit responsive, yet providing a very stable feel. Another thing I wanted to note is that the midsole of this shoe, even though it is a very high stack shoe on paper, it feels extremely lightweight. So I think that's where it differentiates itself from a lot of other models in the same category as the Superblast 2, where the midsole is pretty fat and it provides a lot of impact protection, yet it still stays very lightweight and not too clunky feeling. Now, when I did test the shoe on faster runs where I was trying to push the pace quite a bit, at least for me, I did feel that the foam felt pretty firm and it didn't feel like it was giving me a lot of bounce or pop like maybe a super trainer with a plate would have, or maybe a bouncier foam would have, but I still felt that it was a great foam for picking up the pace. It just felt a little bit firmer, so that might be a personal preference thing. I did always feel supported in the shoe due to that stability as well as that firmer feel, and I thought that the Superblast 2 did a phenomenal job at performing at different types of paces. So at no point did my body feel like it was super tired or aching just because of lack of impact protection, and also at no point in time where even in my long runs or short runs did I feel that I wish I had more cushioning or better cushioning. It just did the job. It may not be the bounciest foam that you're gonna get in a shoe, but I felt that it was able to handle a wide range of different use cases. So I think that the Superblast 2 midsole is one of the top of the line. I think that's what got the Superblast, the original Superblast, so popular, is that it was able to do basically every type of run in one shoe. Now let's move on to the upper. So the upper is an engineered mesh, I believe, but it looks more and feels a little bit like a knitted material. But nonetheless, it is a very soft material and didn't really require any break-in time, which was nice. It felt really soft on foot. And there is a pretty thin gusseted tongue, which I had no problems with, and a pretty cushioned heel collar. So I would say that these do run true to size. I know that this shoe gets compared a little bit to the Nova Blast 4, like a premium Nova Blast 4, which I can honestly kind of see. But the Nova Blast 4 for me ran a touch long in my opinion, so I actually went half a size down in those, but went true to size in these, and I felt that true to size in the Superblast 2 was the right decision. I do think that this is going to be wide footer friendly, as I do have a wider foot and my pinky toe was not being squished. I didn't feel any chafing or blistering or any of that nature. So if you do have a wider foot, that this shoe is going to be able to accommodate that very well. Now, if you do have a narrow foot, I might think that you may have a little bit extra room in the toe box, so that's kind of up to you. Hopefully you can try the shoe in store to make sure you get that perfect fit, especially if you're spending $200 on the shoe. I did want to touch upon heel lockdown as well, because in my first impressions video, I did say that I did have a little bit of heel slippage in the right heel. That has mostly gone away now that I've kind of broken in the upper, as well as I've tightened the lacings a little bit more. The shoe kind of broke in, and now I kind of feel like it's similar to the Brooks Hyperion Max 2, where I do feel that my heel is secured and it's not moving much, but it doesn't feel like that one-to-one locked down fit that I really, really love in some other shoes, like maybe the New Balance More V5 or the Nike Pegasus 41. But I wouldn't worry too much. I felt that my heel was locked down enough. It's just me really nitpicking on the shoe, as it is a more expensive shoe. So I would say that it works really well. I didn't have any support issues or heel lockdown issues, but if you really wanted that snug one-to-one fit, that might also be a personal thing. You might have to try on the shoe because all of our anatomies are a little bit different. So just for me, it didn't feel completely locked down, but definitely did the job. So overall, would I recommend the Asics Superblast 2? That's a tricky question. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I do think that this shoe is phenomenal. I think that it's able to do all different types of runs. It's non-plated, so you're gonna be able to train your feet muscles as well as your calf muscles, thighs, whatever. I honestly don't know a huge difference between plated trainers as well as non-plated trainers, but I do think that it's good to train in non-plated shoes just every once in a while, or for a majority of your runs, so that you can strengthen all those muscles that maybe we don't know too much about. So I think that this shoe is going to be phenomenal. Obviously the price point of $200 is hefty. So I would say that if you're training for a marathon marathon and can only buy one shoe, kind of like what I said about the Hyperion Max 2, this shoe is going to be able to do all of it. So you're going to be comfortable doing marathons and below. So marathon, half marathon, 10K, 5K, you're going to be able to do all your speed work. Probably it's not going to be the best for speed work in my opinion. I do think that the stack height is a little bit high for that, and you're not going to get a lot of ground feel or as much ground feel as some other more dedicated shoes for speed work. As for long runs, this thing is going to be a beast. It's probably not going to give you the pep that you would want in a maybe plated trainer, but it's still going to do very well due to that racing foam that they put in the shoe. So that's one scenario that I would recommend buying the Asics Superblast 2. If you were going to buy one shoe to do it all, this is well worth $200, especially if it can last anywhere near 500 to 600 miles, like a lot of people are saying that they can get out of their shoes. I think that that's a great value because basically you're getting two shoes, the lifetime of two shoes for the price of $200. I know it's a lot of money, but if you're going to use them a lot and you enjoy them a lot, then I think that it's well worth the money. Now, if you are looking for kind of the best value running shoe, I mean, I don't think you would be looking at the Superblast 2 regardless, you know, if budget is something that you're keeping in mind. I think that the Nova Blast 4 is going to be able to do basically everything the Superblast 2 is going to be able to do, but maybe at a less premium feel. Not to say that the Nova Blast 4 is not comfortable or not a good performer at all. I love the Nova Blast 4. I just think that that's going to be a better option for the price point, as it is priced at $140 versus this is going to be $200. I do think I'm going to do a comparison video between the two shoes just to kind of like compare them and see, you know, how they stack up against each other, because I do see a little bit of a reason why these two are related in any sense. I think you can do a wide majority of runs in both shoes, so I see why some people are comparing them to each other, but this is kind of like the Nova Blast premium. Now I do wish that Asics would release a non-plated trainer with the racing foam, but maybe at a lower stack height, so not at Superblast level stack height, and a little bit maybe higher than the Nova Blast 4, so in between, kind of like what Nike does with the Vomero series, where they have a little bit of Zoom X, but it's kind of in that Pegasus form factor. I think that that would be a sweet shoe to have, especially at the price point of 160 to 170, so that it's kind of like that premium daily trainer where you're kind of spending a little bit more money, but you're also feeling that premium feel of a racing foam. But that's just my opinion. Hopefully Asics kind of listens to that, or maybe other people have asked for that, so maybe they're working on something right now, so we'll see. So overall, I think that if price is not a concern, or you know, you are going to use this shoe as your do-it-all shoe, I think that the Asics Superblast 2 is well worth the money at $200. No, it's a lot of money, but it is what it is. I mean, you're getting a phenomenal shoe, basically a super trainer that's non-plated and super light. Kind of feels like a regular everyday trainer, but you're getting that premium racing foam in it, and basically you can do everything in the shoe, and it's kind of gonna be your workhorse. And if it can last, you know, 600 to 700 miles, I know that's a pretty big contingency, but I think that if it can last that long, you're gonna be really happy. And as long as you can also get your hands on them, because I think that these are pretty hard to get. They've been selling out quite a bit, so I think that they're well worth the money. Hopefully you can try them on in-store before purchasing, just to make sure that it fits your foot properly and you don't have any heel lockdown issues, but you should be good to go with Asics Superblast 2. And there is a reason why this is the most popular super trainer, or you know, non-plated super trainer on the market. So that's gonna pretty much wrap up my review of the Asics Superblast 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and like the video. That really helps my channel grow, as well as there are going to be a ton of running reviews coming up soon, with a lot of shoes that I'm very excited for personally releasing at the end of this year. So make sure you stay tuned to that, as well as, you know, I'm gonna do some racing vlogs and, you know, do a couple more training arcs, and yeah, I don't know, we'll see what we do in the future. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your guys' support, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.